stand and join Mitch Lavignette in singing our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last sleeping, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, 'cause that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Please be seated. Faculty, students, parents and relatives, distinguished guests, and friends of our university. I'm delighted to welcome you to this, the 149th Commencement of the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. This year, we celebrate the 126th anniversary of the founding at Platteville of the first normal school in the state of Wisconsin, the birth of what has become today's University of Wisconsin-Platteville. During these years, more than 29,000 students have received their degrees from us. This afternoon, approximately 400 more degrees will be conferred. We dedicate today's ceremony to the memories of two members of the university community who have recently died. They are Mr. George Christ, coach and assistant professor of health and physical education with 13 years of service, and Miss Joanne Temby, library services assistant with 18 years of service. They were our colleagues and friends. Faculty, students, and staff join their families in grieving their loss. The students selected to deliver the senior valedictory address at each UW-Platteville commencement ceremony is chosen as a representative of what this university strives to produce. An individual who is highly skilled in a chosen field of study, someone who possesses a broad range of knowledge across various disciplines which will allow him or her to contribute to the betterment of society, and an individual who has participated in various extracurricular activities which offer complementary skills in such areas as leadership and teamwork. The student selected to speak to us today has certainly excelled in all three of these areas. Susan A. Clement of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, will receive a Bachelor of Science degree in agricultural business with an emphasis in marketing. In an era when students are taking longer to complete degrees, Ms. Clement has completed her studies in just 3.5 years and will graduate magna cum laude. During the past 2 summers, she has had internships with American Cyanamid Corporation and NASCO International, working in various aspects of sales and marketing. Ms. Clement is a member of the Alpha Lambda, Delta, and Phi Kappa Phi Honor Societies. She has been a cheerleader for both our football and basketball teams and served as a cheerleader of another sort for the College of Agriculture as a member of the Agri Ambassadors. She has been secretary and president of the University Block and Bridle Club and was named its outstanding senior in 1992. Ms. Clement has been a member of the Future Farmers of America since 1985, has held numerous offices, and has participated in both state and local activities. She is a 10-year member of 4-H as well. Her academic and service activities and achievements have earned her numerous scholarships which has helped her finance her education. One of Ms. Clement's very successful internships was followed up with an employment offer, which she has accepted. She will join the American Cyanamid Corporation in Des Moines, Iowa, following graduation. It is my pleasure to introduce our senior valedictory speaker, Ms. Susan Clement. Susan?
Thank you, Chancellor. Ralph Waldo Emerson once stated, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." Graduates, faculty, family, and friends, happiness is the key to success. I challenge each of you to be happy in everything you do. I want you to think about 3 specific areas of your lives: your career, your social and your family life, and yourself. First, in your search for happiness, consider your career. What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Consider not only yourself, but also your friends and family. I challenge every one of you to set attainable goals for personal success, but don't forget those around you. Secondly, your social and your family life. We all have memories of our college years, and I'm sure our happiest times involve our loved ones. We remember the Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners we have shared with our loved ones and the homecoming celebrations with our friends. These were special times. As graduates, we will take these memories with us. Our friends will not just be down the hall, but a phone call away. Remember, a friend is one of the nicest things you can have and one of the best things you can be. Hold on to those friendships and those special family times when happiness seems far away. On this special occasion, we should all thank our loved ones for making this day possible. Mom and Dad, thank you for your support and your dedication to my education over the past years. Lastly, search for happiness within yourself. William Shakespeare once said, "We know what we are, but know not what we may be." Be confident in your abilities. We all have a college education, but what we choose to do with that education makes us unique. Be happy with yourself, because if you're happy, you will have a positive influence on those around you. Now is the time to let go of college life and look forward to a promising future. Remember, happiness in your career, happiness in your social and your family life, and happiness within yourself. Garth Brooks, in his song, "The River," sums up the challenge before us all. Too many times we stand aside and let the water slip away, till what we put off till tomorrow has now become today. So don't you sit upon the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide. Congratulations, graduates, and best of luck in your search for happiness.
The commencement address will be delivered by Mr. Dan Rutz. Mr. Rutz is a 1971 graduate of the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, holding a Bachelor of Science degree in Speech and Broadcasting. His distinguished broadcasting career began a very short distance from here, in the studios of WSUP-FM in the basement of Pioneer Tower. During his college years, Mr. Rutz also was employed by KDUB-TV in Dubuque and was an assistant manager and news director at what was then WSWW-AM and FM, now WTOQ-WKPL in Platteville. From 1971 to 1979, he worked at WMTV, Channel 15 in Madison, as a reporter, news anchor, and news operations manager. In 1981, He joined the cable news network in Atlanta, Georgia, and now serves as managing editor and correspondent for CNN's Medical News Unit. He is responsible for the News from Medicine segment, which airs several times each day, as well as the program CNN HealthWorks, a half-hour overview of each week's major medical news stories. He also writes and anchors specials and series reports on a variety of medical issues. Among the many awards presented to Mr. Rutz by the nation's medical community are the following: the Howard Blakesley Award from the American Heart Association, the Journalism Award of Excellence from the American College of Emergency Physicians, and the William Harvey Award for Excellence in Medical News Writing from the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology. He has also received public service awards from the National Kidney Foundation, the Easter Seal Society, and the Atlanta Medical Association, and in 1990 was honored as a distinguished alumnus of UW-Platteville. We are very honored to have Dan back on campus today to address this, the 149th Commencement. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Dan Rutz. Dan?
Thank you very much, Chancellor Hallgren, Dr. Curtis, other distinguished members of the administration and faculty, friends of the university, fellow alumni, and honored graduates. It's a great pleasure and honor to return home to the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. It was 21 years ago, almost to the day, that I walked across the same stage for my own graduation. I remember the excitement of that day and share it with you on this important milestone in your lives. Maybe I felt just a little self-conscious dressed in academic attire back then. I got out of my cap and gown before my dad could take a picture. So I guess I'll give him another chance to do that today if he's still interested. But to be honest with you, I've come to appreciate this outfit in a whole new light, and I have to let you all in on just a little secret of the television business to appreciate the point. In TV news, you're always in a hurry and sometimes even harried. And after more than 20 years in front of the camera, I must confess to two nagging concerns right before that red light comes on. Is my hair combed, which is to say, is my bald spot covered? And is that zipper up all the way? It's kind of nice not to have to worry about either of those two things right now. The week after graduation, I was off to Madison to continue a career I'd already begun here as a student 3.5 years earlier. Nearly every good thing that's happened to me since that time had its beginnings here in Platteville. My education opened the doors of professional opportunity and happiness. I met Ann, my best friend and life partner, in the newsroom of Channel 15. That was my greatest scoop ever, and after 16 years and the blessings of 4 wonderful children, the story keeps getting better. So you see, directly and indirectly, this institution has and continues to have a great influence on my life. Friendships made here are apt to last forever. That has been my good fortune. As you cross the threshold today to your own life adventures, may it also be yours. The day before my first broadcast on WSUP-FM, I recall looking at the coverage map the chief engineer had drawn. There was an inner blue circle that covered all of Platteville and extended about as far as Belmont and Dickeyville. A yellow ring, the area where the signal was slightly weaker, took in Cuba City and Lancaster. The very thin, and I'm afraid much exaggerated, red circle defined our fringe zone, which carried our campus radio voice to the 3 big Ds, Dodgeville, Darlington, and Dubuque. And looking at it that afternoon, I was sure every person out there was listening to WSUP. A quarter century later, when I prepare a report for CNN, whose reach extends to every continent, I want to believe the same thing. But today I realize that numbers are not the most impressive thing. What's more important is the connection between people who are doing their best to understand one another. That link is not dependent on the size of an audience or even on the medium. Lasting impressions, for better or worse, can be left in a message that's multiplied electronically and beamed around the world, or one delivered face-to-face. We all possess that power. That's what it really means to reach out and touch someone. I want to talk to you today about some of the possibilities of this gift of communication, our ability to put forth ideas and to receive them. Both elements are critically important. I worry most about people not investing enough in critical listening. We live in the age of the spin doctor, practicing the art of shaping public opinion. At the same time, many of us seem practically obsessed with remaining politically correct. These are dangerous trends. Both talkers and listeners have a role in keeping communication open and honest. English is my only language, and that's a handicap. But I am comforted by a recent Wire story proclaiming English as the up-and-coming second language around the world. Now, understand, this is not a smooth transition. People are discovering the perils of literal translation. Take this example. A sign at a Bangkok dry cleaners advises, "Drop your pants here for best results." And Stalin would have loved this one in a Soviet weekly. There will be a Moscow exhibition of arts by 15,000 Soviet Republic painters and sculptors. These were executed over the past 2 years. A notice in a French elevator suggests, "Please leave your values at the desk." And a Japanese hotel proudly states, "You are invited to take advantage of the chambermaid." We don't even have to go as far as Tokyo. One of the first commercials I ever read on radio for a women's apparel store advised, "Bras and girdles half off, lingerie 2/3 off." And a guy called and said, "Why don't they just go all the way?" That really happened. Just as misunderstandings like these can tickle our funny bone, words can also cut deep wounds. I recall Dr. Thomas Lundine's great history lectures over at Roundtree Hall. He said, "It isn't just what happened that's important, it's what people think happened that affects the course of history." Well, our thoughts govern our speech, our acts, and the attitudes of others in a single endless cycle that affects the world. As medical correspondent for CNN, I go to a lot of places, and it's not always pleasant. In reporting on the AIDS epidemic, for instance, I've been to some of the most depressing neighborhoods in the country. Before visiting the South Bronx of New York City the first time, I tended to blame the people who live there for all the terrible problems they live with day after day. After all, no one forces people to take drugs, to sell themselves on the streets to pay for these habits, or to join gangs. So many of them are living with AIDS in 1992 because of what they did in 1982. How can people be so stupid? Well, the more you mingle, the more you listen, the easier it gets to understand how problems can be bigger than those closest to them. I'll never forget a man I met on a visit to the New York City prison on Rikers Island. He was missing an eye. He had a deep scar carved in his cheek. He talked about staying off drugs when he got out, but he told me it would be tough going back to that old neighborhood where, instead of encouragement, he faced ridicule. As he put it, the place is full of people who want to put you down. For a roof over their heads and a concession that they'll not be beaten up, many women in these areas say they must give in to the demands, sexual and otherwise, of men who want only to satisfy themselves. Under such arrangements, children are born into hopeless situations. There are no positive role models for them. Childhood is to be endured instead of enjoyed. When you see hardships on the news, remember, we don't make this stuff up. These are reflections of the real lives of real people. Maybe you think I'm making excuses for them. Well, I don't mean to. A few years ago, a syndicated columnist wrote about the people at greatest risk of getting AIDS. He pointed out that most cases can be linked to choices rather than chance. So he wondered, why is everyone portrayed in the news as a victim? He wrote, "Journalism by sentiment is always having to say, 'I'm sorry.'" Well, I agree with the point. Of course, people need to be responsible, and contrary to what is politically correct, I even think it's okay, indeed an obligation for us at times, to be judgmental. But I also would say we need to be fair and consider what's going on besides that which we see and don't approve of. Insight is an important first step in problem solving. Those who can imagine walking in someone else's shoes are due society's respect and gratitude. It's not enough to solve all problems through our life experience alone. In fact, it cannot be done. We're not all dealt the same hand, so the strategy of play must differ as well. But just as our indifference to substandard schools, crime, and hunger helps perpetuate suffering, our active concern can help the disadvantaged to have choices and make the right ones. Global communication has shrunk the world, so it's not enough for us, if it ever was, to be responsible only for ourselves. We can no longer say, "I didn't know what was going on around me." Sometimes I think we baby boomers are falling short. My generation favors a parochial view of good citizenship. As long as we're taking care of ourselves and families, earning a good living, paying our taxes, staying out of trouble, that's all that matters. The boomers take pride in having worked toward a deeper understanding of ourselves. Well, there's nothing wrong with that unless it becomes the only focus. And I would ask you, what virtue is there in being totally self-absorbed? More is required of us and you. Most of us here have benefited immeasurably from the love of caring parents whose proper examples pointed us in the right direction. And I salute my parents and thank them very much for the example they set in the formative years of my life, and I appreciate them the more I grow, the older I get, for that fine example. And today we celebrate the richest rewards of higher education, the intangible, the ability to think and argue and find solutions. We are called upon to use these gifts for the common good. Consider it progressive responsibility. It's less painful than progressive taxation and probably worth more to society. When we can consider the ills of society apart from the people closest to them, we become partners in overcoming adversity. And what's more, we move away from stereotypes, racism, and cynicism if we are willing to acknowledge that our brothers and sisters are all the people living in our own time, regardless of how different their traditions or life circumstances happen to be from ours. Years ago, I interviewed a woman in Dallas who developed a special line of cosmetics for people who'd been severely burned as she had been. With deep resignation in her voice, she said, "To society, the beautiful people are the best people." She sought to save her clients from being burned over and over again from the prejudice that comes from an obsession with the superficial. It should go without saying that the real value of a human being is not in how they look, and if we really believe it, we've got to live it. But what difference does it all make? Consider the high price we pay for perpetuating hatred in our society. At what point do we adopt new attitudes and accept society's problems as ours too? The world has shrunk too far for us not to, and if we are to advance any further as a civilized people, we've got to get on with it. Care enough to judge, but judge fairly. Care enough to seek understanding and solutions. You may find that compassion is contagious, just as prejudice is. Your attitudes will make a difference in the world, for better or worse. A month ago, I experienced the ultimate reminder of why effective change for the better starts from the bottom up rather than from the top down. I spent a week in Cuba, the country, not the city. It's a beautiful island, but there is no utopia there, despite a desperate government's attempt to promote one. The Castro regime solves its problems by redefining or denying them. Officially, everyone is committed to the revolution. There's no gas, of course, but no problem. The clever government planners have brought us bicycles from China. It's healthier than driving anyway. Now tell that to a 75-year-old woman who's never been on a two-wheeler. I found Cubans have two personalities. Their public one, where they say the right things and hold the right opinions, and their private ones, where in the company of trusted friends or the privacy of their hearts, they deplore the unkept promises and the lies that define their leadership. On my most recent trip, I sought out those like you who have their whole lives ahead of them. They are an unhappy lot. The revolution brought education and medical care to the masses, but at what a price to the spirits of those who've been brought up to believe that the individual always matters less than the society, and that security and happiness flow only from the state. Communism, as I have experienced it, is not some overt evil presence. It is insidious. Its control over the private lives of its people is founded on a principle most of us would agree with, that everyone deserves a break. The trouble is, it doesn't work and can't. Greedy people at the top take more than their share, and what's more, the system destroys initiative. It drains away its most vital resource, the spirit of its young people. I mentioned to one man that I would be talking to you in a few weeks. Are you going to tell them how stupid it is here, he asked. He was referring to the economic apartheid that deprives most Cubans of just about anything you can think of except fresh air and sugar. while foreign visitors can have anything their hard currency can buy. But the college-age people I talk to aren't complaining about not having enough to eat. They are deploring a lack of opportunity to make their own way in the world, and they resent the corruption of the communication cycle. They have been raised on propaganda and frightened into keeping their mouths shut. To be able to speak freely, to be openly honest, they envy you more than you can imagine. So the Cold War is over and we won it. Neither Cuba nor communism poses any threat to our country. And it is probably just a matter of time before that society breaks free too. So what can we learn from a failed system? First, to appreciate freedom and maybe not take it so for granted. One of our most basic rights is to speak our minds and form our own opinions. Our laws should reflect our common regard for fairness, decency, and the right of all people to live and pursue their dreams. We can talk all we want about changing society's values and even abridging some of the rights. But since we are also empowered to listen and to disagree, we can object to those who are ready to erode the basic moral principles upon which our country was established. The protection is contained within the communication cycle. It's up to you. We can't get lazy about it. The stakes are too high to worry about political correctness. I think one of the great challenges of our lives is to be open to new ideas without falling for the bad ones. These days, they can't do it in Cuba, but in our country we have the power, if only we'll use it. It's hard to be lethargic when you know a man like Sam Zellman. Sam was executive producer for 60 Minutes for CBS. He set up international news bureaus for that network in every hotspot in the world, from Korea to Jerusalem. And Sam was at retirement age a dozen years ago when he became one of the founders of CNN. After he retired a second time, he started writing and teaching. Sam is well into his 70s now. My most recent letter caught up with him in Budapest, where, as he puts it, he's caught up in this real live soap opera we call life. It's too good a show to watch from the sofa, he says, even if the set is tuned to 24-hour-a-day news. Sam's favorite pastime is taking it all in and then giving more back in return. Sam's world is a place outside of himself. What an example he sets for our time. And from our own great university, Dr. Bjarne Alsvik, Chancellor Emeritus. Through the turbulent late 60s and 70s, when I was a student here, Dr. Alsvik balanced the concerns of academics with the students' demands for free expression. He never lost the respect of the student body because he made it clear that he respected us too. Years later, as a reporter in Madison, I recall how he patiently but firmly defended Platteville before a state administration bent on limiting the missions of the institutions that made up the old Wisconsin State University system. His commitment, dedication, and genuine concern have paid a handsome dividend. We, the alumni of the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, have much to be proud of and owe a debt of gratitude to people like Bjarne Alsvik, who have given so much. Dedication and loyalty are rewarded. Let me share this advice as you choose your careers. If you find you don't like your job or cannot defend your employer, I urge you to get out as soon as possible and find a situation that suits you better. Before moving to Georgia a dozen years ago, I lived 30 years in Wisconsin. I guess that makes me a cheesehead. And maybe that's why I considered it so very special to be sent in the mail a Basics of Tasting Guide for Wisconsin-made cheese. First, we are instructed to examine the appearance, paying special attention to even color and texture characteristics. Next, smell the aroma. Now, to get this part right, you must allow the cheese to reach room temperature or rub a small piece between your fingertips before subjecting it to the nose. At last, it is time to taste, acknowledging both the first flavor and saving the final one after chewing and swallowing. It is important to follow this in proper order with a breath through the mouth which is slowly discharged through the nose so the scent can rise for a fuller appreciation. Finally, it is time to contemplate the flavor experience. The flavor should clean out quickly, never an aftertaste, just a memory. Wow, they sure make that sound harder than it's ever occurred to me. As a general rule, and certainly when dealing with less demanding pursuits than eating cheese, look for simplicity in life. You've planned for this milestone, graduation day. You're planning your careers and your futures as you should and must do. But even now, especially now, may you also remember to live for the moment. That's one of Pamela Hanachek's favorite expressions. Pam lives out in California. She's in her 40s and has advanced breast cancer. She's had it for years. She has outlived her prognosis by several years and may suffer a recurrence at any time, but doesn't think much about that. Pam has learned to enjoy each day. Moments, she says. I have learned to crowd my life with moments. Tomorrow comes soon enough. Today is ours to live but once. When the Stanford University doctors decided attitude does have something to do with longevity, Pam used to joke to the others in her support group, "Are we living longer yet?" Her wish for us is to find moments and to recognize them as the essence of our lives. I think it was Freud who pointed out the two things that lead to true satisfaction: love and a job well done. May both be yours. Class of 1992, this is your moment. You have much to be proud of. I salute your academic accomplishments and extend my every wish for your success and happiness always. Congratulations, and God bless you.
I think you've just seen an excellent example of why we're so proud of all of our alumni. Thank you, Dan. Mr. Dennis Pratt, Vice President of the UW-Platteville Alumni Association, will now announce the awards of Alumni Life memberships. Dennis?
Thank you, Chancellor Helgren. Graduates, on behalf of the UW-Platteville Alumni Association, it is indeed my pleasure to congratulate you and your families on your graduation today. As part of the congratulations, I have been instructed by the Alumni Association Board of Directors to award each graduate a complimentary one-year membership in the UW-Platteville Alumni Association. It is our hope that 1 year from now you will decide to permanently join the Alumni Association in support of UW-Platteville. The Alumni Association also traditionally recognizes several graduates for their outstanding academic, campus personnel, and professional achievements by awarding them honorary lifetime memberships in the association. This year, we have awarded 4 such awards. As I introduce them alphabetically, I would ask that you hold your applause until they have all been introduced. I ask the recipients to please stand and remain standing as they are introduced, until all are introduced. First of all, Nita Burke from Darlington, Wisconsin. She was nominated by the College of Arts and Science. She has a major in English and secondary education. Not with us today, but we felt we should introduce her, Teresa Kaler from Dodgeville. She's been nominated by the College of Business, Industry, and Communications. She has a degree in business administration. Nancy Graves from Platteville, Wisconsin. She was nominated by the College of Engineering and will hold a degree in industrial engineering. And Mike Tierney from Platteville, Wisconsin, was nominated by the College of Agriculture and will have a degree in soil and crop science. Congratulations to each one of you, and congratulations with your future. Thank you.
We're extremely proud of all of our graduates, and we will shortly recognize each of them. However, I would first like to take this opportunity to recognize a very special group of graduates who have distinguished themselves throughout their academic careers. These are the undergraduate students graduating with academic honors, and they are designated with an asterisk in the commencement program and are wearing gold honor stoles. Will those individuals who have achieved highest honors and are graduating summa cum laude please rise and remain standing? These students have earned cumulative grade point average from 3.75 to a perfect 4.0. Will those individuals who have achieved honors and are graduating magna cum laude please rise and remain standing? These students have earned cumulative grade point averages from 3.5 to 3.74. Please join me in congratulating these students. Now, will all the candidates for the bachelor's and master's degrees please stand? Mr. Chancellor, as provost, I certify that the candidates standing before you have completed the curricula prescribed by the university faculty for the degrees of Master of Science in Education or Agriculture Sciences or Industrial Technology, or the degrees of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science, and are entitled to receive their degrees from the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. I therefore recommend that these candidates be granted the appropriate diplomas for the curricula completed.
Upon this certification by the provost that you have completed the requirements established by the university faculty for various degrees, and with the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents of the University of Wisconsin System, I am pleased to confer upon you the degree which you have earned, together with all the rights, privileges, and perquisites attending thereto. Congratulations. Please be seated. Will the deans now present the degree recipients? Will the recipients of the degree of Bachelor of Science from the College of Agriculture please stand? Mr. Chancellor, as Dean of the College of Agriculture, in representing the college faculty, I present to you the recipients of the degree of Bachelor of Science from the College of Agriculture. Will the recipients please come forward?
Susan A. Clement, Michael Tierney, Shelley J. Bindle, Richard Donald Blakely, Jonathan William Briggs, Jean D. Brooks, Tricia R. Brown, Bradley Keith Bruxfort, Rebecca J. Cooley, Brian J. Capiri, J. Jeremy Digman, Roger G. Egan, Dean R. Ellefson, Wade M. Enlow, Janice M. Jones, Trina Lynn Cleaver, Alan Henry Lemke, Jr., Richard Conrad Leopold, Kristen Ray Lindo, Terrence V. Leffelholtz, Robert Frank Mawiney, Alan T. McGuire, James G. Moody, Rose M. Morrissey, Brian James Muraski, Andrew Allen Probst, Matthew John Schmidt, Diane Lee Schuler. Jeffrey B. Simmons. Michael Allen Stockel. Dawn Marie Teshuti. Jeff Allen Turnipseed. Timothy G. Vosberg. Scott A. Weber. Anne Marie Wills.
Congratulations to all of you. You have performed well in the college, and we wish you your best as you move into your future. Thank you. Please be seated.
Will the recipients of the degrees of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science from the College of Arts and Sciences please stand? Mr. Chancellor, as Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and representing the college faculty, I present to you the recipients of the degrees of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science from the College of Arts and Sciences. Will the recipients please come forward?
Barry Joseph Plussel. Timothy S. Allman. Christopher Charles Anderson. Graham N. Anderson. Karen Ann Aschenbrunner. Gary A. Bell. Gerald Eben Bellin. Anita J. Burke. Michelle Lynn Burkholder. Joel L. Clark. Carrie Jo Crody. Brian Keith Dillon. Julie A. Dotsauer. Lori S. Gatewood. Paul D. Hassenstab. Brendan Albert Herrick. Brian Keith Hosell. Mary Catherine Hoofer. Julie K. Judd. Kristen Deanna Kauth. Jeffrey Allen Ernest Keene. Cynthia Jo Keller. Michael P. Klauk. Michelle Ann Kunkel. Patrick James Larson. Deanna L. Lindeman. Mark Christopher McQuaid. Scott M. Murray. Charlotte M. Peterson. Tracy L. Peterson Nicodem. William Charles Reed. Jackie Lynn Ringon. Tanya Ann Neubauer. Lori Teresa Shilbaye. John C. Smiley. Jennifer Jamie Stone. Terry Marie Stroshine. Tracy Ann Stubbe. Dean Sukas Jr. Melissa Marie Webb. Julie Ann Widener. Michael Kenneth White.
Congratulations again. Best wishes in your future endeavors. Please be seated.
Will the recipients of the degrees of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science from the College of Business, Industry, and Communication please stand? Mr. Chancellor, as Dean of the College of Business, Industry, and Communication, and representing the college faculty, I present to you the recipients of the degrees of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science from the College of Business, Industry, and Communication. Will the recipients please come forward as your name is called?
Lisa K. Hamilton. Paul Allen Atto. Clinton R. Beyer. Lisa E. Bauman. Paul S. Berg. Carlos Botin. Dale Allen Boyd. Kevin Allen Brown. Scott E. Bush. Leslie Ann Caldwell. Scott James Check. John Barry Colbert. Joseph Arnold Crowder. Brian Edward Dolan. John Thomas Dagan. Jeff M. Doyle. James Michael Dunn. Lisa M. Dutcher. Eric C. Engelke. Alejandro Flores. Angelique Deanne Folberg. Amy Ann Freiberger. Conrad Carl Frenz. Jennifer L. Fry. Kirk James Gaylor. Mark Damon Genrick. Lucretia Lynn Halverson. Tracy Lynn Hines. Tammy Ann Herbst. Virginia Herrera. Richard John Hafling. Craig A. Iverson. Corey Andrew Kelly. Gina M. Genzera. Kimberly Sue Klein. Thomas Allen Kowald. James Matthew Krupski. Jeffrey M. Lalensack. Michael Paul Linsmeyer. Matthew Raymond Loken. Whitney Ellen Loomis. Monica Lopez. Raymond Joseph Lupori. Robin Lee Mason. James Anthony Mead. Donald George Metz. Stephen Jeffrey Nelson. Michael J. Norton. Luis Olivar. Timothy John Posh. Paula J. Phillips. Todd H. Popons. Thomas I. Pope. Robert Bruce Porter. Carl Joseph Prian. Kevin P. Prian. Jeffrey Thomas Puderbaugh. James Alexander Rakes. Scott Lester Rebels. Dion Paul Recker. Candace J. Reed. Rebecca K. Rogers. Angela Marie Ruhl. Nicole Lynette Rundy. Deborah Rutledge. Jacqueline C. Sanders. Kurt Frederick Shadowalt. Corrine C. Schrader. Matthew David Schultz. Michael John Seeger. Elizabeth Zoe Shackleton. Anna Marie Shanahan. Scott David Scavlin. Mark Allen Stake. Angela M. Stein. Chad Christopher Steyer. Suzanne Tari. Tress Elizabeth Von Ark. Kent Robert Von Ruden. Craig Hubert Westfall. Sheila M. Wilkinson. Dirk Michael Willis. Jeffrey Lee Zanow. Kent Kenneth Zemer. Travis James Zimmerman. Michael J. Zuccoloto.
Congratulations, best wishes, keep in touch. I'll see you all, including you, Don, beg your pardon, Don, at homecoming, okay? Be seated.
will the recipients of the degrees of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science from the College of Education please stand? Mr. Chancellor, as Dean of the College of Education and representing the college faculty, I present to you the recipients of the degrees of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science from the College of Education. Will the recipients please come forward?
Diane P. Gordonier. Kelly Maria Pickle. Danielle Bruner. Ellen L. Burkholder. Tara L. Bassan. Carrie Day. Christina Marie Holmo. Sharon Louise Holtz. Cheryl Susan McQuaid. Robin K. Melton. Krista K. Mezra. Deborah Ann Morrison. Diane Lynn Noble. Susan Maria Pierick. Wendy Ray Schmidt. Amy Jo Seehaver. Ellen Louise Sincock. Scott Stephen Staver. Trina Lee Steinbach. Tina Marie Thill. Tammy Lynn Timmerman. Kevin J. Weist. Andrew Stephen Wolf. Daniel Edward Zacharias.
Congratulations on a job well done and best wishes for your future. Please be seated.
Will the recipients of the degree of Bachelor of Science from the College of Engineering please stand? Chancellor, as Dean of the College of Engineering and representing the college faculty, I present to you the recipients of the degree of Bachelor of Science from the College of Engineering. Will the recipients please come forward?
Pamela Marie Turner. Nathan Andrew Torgerson. Kenneth Alfred Alderson. Jeffrey Scott Anderson. Todd J. Allman. Hossein Azarshin. Anthony John Barth. Joseph Arthur Belling. Brian Anthony Bickler. David John Bouchard. Eric Andrew Boughton. Anthony James Bowman. Brian E. Detlefson. Durga Priya Devaguptapu. Charles James Digman, Jr. Kristen Kathleen Falk. Ronald W. Fruit. Tammy Lynn Funk. Joey D. Gallimore. Nancy Sue Graves. Deanne Clixia Greaves. Timothy Richard Hanley. Michael David Hansing. Ronald James Hayes. Dan Michael Herden. Heather Lynn Heilman. Beth Ann Hewlin. Wayne E. Jacobson. Brian Allen Jacoby. Wendy Ann Jensen. Rodney L. Johnson. Tensei H.M. Kedana Mariam. Jerry Ann Klein. John Francis Kleinschmidt. Jeffrey Allen Klepek. James Michael Koenig. Troy David Cosmall. Scott Charles Kramer. Donald Joseph Crookton. Kurt Frederick Ledbury. Randall John Mack. Thomas Spencer Marcin. Gary L. Marquardt. John Leonard Martin. Todd Richard Matheson. Brian K. Mueller. Wayne A. Miller. Andy Lamont Mullendor. Mark John Nelson. Riley Patrick O'Donnell. Catherine Ann Omernick. Darren K. Ott. Michael P. Poplinski, Jr. Mark Edwin Peters. Barbara J. Piaski. Daniel Robert Piper. David Frederick Rinflish. Elizabeth E. Rupp. Russell Wayne Sanford. Shannon Lee Sanford. James M. Sherman. Patrick John Skalecki. Craig Donald Smits. Charles Robert Spragan, Jr. Todd Lee Steinbach. Scott Andrew Steinmetz. Kelly Lynn Sluka. Stephen Michael Stroshane. Andrew Lawrence Trimble. Paul C. Tunick. Alan Joseph Verhagen. James Lauren Volkman. Brett Allen Wallace. Timothy J. Watson. Dean Kenneth Whitley. Dennis Allen Yakes. Stephen Thomas Zeibel.
Congratulations, engineers. Best wishes. Please be seated.
Will the master's degree recipients please stand? Mr. Chancellor, as Dean of the School of Graduate Studies and representing the graduate faculty, I present to you the recipients of the degrees of Master of Science and Master of Science in Education from the School of Graduate Studies. Will the recipients please come forward?
Cecil L. Ballou. Judy F. Benish. Quillen Cow. Stanley E. Holman. Ramona Rochelle Jensen. Kim L. Lasecki. Joanne Lucretia Maury. Diantha Day Sprouse. Randy Scott Tenpass. Sheila Trotter. John Zhang.
Congratulations, and please be seated.
This ceremony would not have been possible without the time and effort so generously given by the University Commencement Committee. The members of the committee are Robert Acton, Barbara Doss, Edward Deneen, Babatundi Pham, G. Daniel Fairchild, Dolores Rock Hutchison, Clement Jeske, Louis Zigu, Carol Sands, Frederick Tufte, and their chair, Joanne Wilson. A most distinguished member of the faculty, Patricia Collins, served as commencement marshal. The names of the graduates were ably read by Edward Deneen, University Registrar. The university student ambassadors have distributed programs and helped organize the seating. Professor Barry Ellis, lead singer Mitch Lavignette, and the UW-Platteville Symphony Band deserve our appreciation as well for the music which accompanies the ceremony. Will the members of the committee, Mr. Deneen, Professors Collins and Ellis, Mr. Lavignette, and members of the Symphony Band please stand and be recognized. As we say farewell to our graduates, I would like to give them the opportunity to recognize those who have guided them through 4, or in some cases more, years of college with gentle prodding, encouragement, and friendly assistance. Will the faculty please rise and be recognized by the graduates? There are yet others who have provided not only encouragement, moral support, and financial assistance, but care and love as well. Will the parents, grandparents, husbands or wives, children and grandchildren of the graduates please stand and be recognized? Job well done. Please turn to the last page of your commencement program. Will you remain standing and join Mitch Lavignette in the singing of their alma mater? Please rise.
Alma mater grand and glorious, we shall ever be victorious. Loyal are we to dear Platteville, pioneers will be. We shall win her honor. Praise be ever on her. Onward, upward to the fore. None shall falter evermore. Alma mater grand and glorious, wrought by loyalty.
Please be seated. Today's commencement ceremony has been videotaped and will be televised only once, tonight beginning at 7 p.m. on cable channel TV5. The university is unable to provide copies of the videotape, so those who want to have a copy should arrange to make their own tonight. Please remain seated until the faculty have left the gymnasium. The graduates will remain to greet their parents, friends, and relatives after the recession. Again, thank you for coming, and it's been a great day.